Whenever you go to museums,
Hello, dear English learners. I am Mr. Sall,
it's just on
and
a
I am
lot.
very
So
happy
it's
to
like a nice,
present our
it's
today's
nice to see
lesson.
him become king.
Our today's
Thank you
lesson
both
is
so
a
much. Thank
video
you. And
on
all along the mall, of
the
course, you said you've
preparation
heard royal
of
dignitaries
the
have been passing, the
coronation
guests
of
have
King
been passing through. You
Charles
see them with their caravans,
on
police escorts,
May
and anytime
the
anyone passes
6th,
this mall, you'll hear
2023.
this crowd just cheering them on. I mean, I even saw them cheering on a construction worker passing through. I mean, that is just how high the mood is here.
Whenever you go to museums, he's opened it, or he's just done a lot. So it's like it's nice to see him become king.
Thank you both so much. Thank you. And all along the mall, of course, he says you've heard royal dignitaries have been passing, the guests have been passing through. You see them with their caravans, police escorts, and anytime anyone passes this mall, you'll hear this crowd just cheering them on. I mean, I even saw them cheering on a construction worker passing through. I mean, that is just how
to attend the event at Westminster Abbey. Foreign dignitaries have been arriving ahead of the ceremony. King Charles and the Queen Consort Camilla will travel the 2-kilometre route from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey in the Diamond Jubilee Stagecoach. They'll return in a 206-year-old gold stagecoach. There are 5 main elements to the service at the Abbey. The recognition, where the King is presented to those in the Abbey by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Then there's the oath, in which the King swears to uphold the law and the Church of England. In a controversial break with tradition, the public will be invited to swear allegiance to the King. Then there's the anointing, which is screened from public view. The Archbishop pours oil on the King's hands, breast, and head. The investiture and crowning the King will be presented with items including the royal orb, the sovereign's scepter, and St. Edward's crown. And then there's the enthronement and homage, in which peers kneel before the King. There'll be also the coronation of the Queen Consort. Let's go live to Niamh Barker, who's outside Buckingham.
Participation here in central London. It was a really important moment for the King to be able to press the flesh on the mall earlier, to shake hands with many well-wishers, some of whom had been camped there for several days, although I gather that security asked them to remove some of their tents for the time in which the King was there. He was joined by the Prince and Princesses of Wales, and unusually, it was very well microphoned, so we could hear what some of them were saying. The Princess of Wales saying that she and her children were slightly nervous and excited by the prospect of the coronation. The first time in 70 years that a monarch will be crowned here in the United Kingdom, a pared-back event. There are significantly fewer guests, around 2,500 opposed to 8,000 when Queen Elizabeth II had her coronation back in 1973. The parade route, only 2 kilometres instead of 4 kilometres. Nevertheless, it comes at a price tag of around $125 million. That figure comes before the entire weekend is through. It may well increase, it may well decrease, and it raises the question of whether or not the royals are all worth it. Well, I'm joined by Christopher Wilson, who's hopefully going to help me unpack whether the royals are indeed value for money, or whether we should care.
Well, I think we should care because this is one moment for Britain to present itself to the global world, the watching world, in a benign light. This is a show like no other. There are no other coronations. Only Britain has a coronation anymore. And we can show the world what pageantry we've got, what history we've got, and just show that we still have some standing in the world outside our political base.
I wanted to ask you about this controversial oath of allegiance. Ahead of the ceremony, the public had been asked to potentially partake in this oath in front of their television sets at home, along with people in Westminster Abbey itself. Ordinarily, this would have been an oath that only the peers would have said. Why has it been so controversial?
Look, in any coronation, there's always a mistake, and this is a big mistake in my view. I mean, Charles's great-grandfather, George VI, had the crown placed on his head the wrong way round. That was a big mistake. In the Queen's coronation in 1953, 2 bands struck up at the same time playing different tunes. These things happen, and this is a misstep, no mistake.
In what way? Did they get the mood of the country wrong to presume that everybody would want to swear allegiance to the monarch?
I think you're absolutely right. Somebody said people want to say this thing. If they want to say it, they'll say it. They don't need to be encouraged or told. And there's one thing about the British nation. It tolerates the British royal family pretty well. but just like being told what to like and what not to like.
All right, we gather that the words have been tweaked. We'll find out tomorrow exactly what they have been tweaked to. Let's talk about protests, because the anti-monarchy group Republic have said that they want at least 1,000 of their members to be out protesting the route, but it comes as new laws were whisked through by the British government to curtail some of those rights to protest that many, of course, see as cherished as the monarchy itself. Do you think that was a right move to serve that serves the monarchy or not?
Look, when George IV drove up the Mall here to be crowned in 1827, people threw stones at him, shouted at him, and made life very difficult for him. Queen Victoria had at least 8 attempts on her life. But there was no law governing whether people should say what they feel about the royal family. Now it would appear that the government and politicians are determined to bring the laws closer together, people closer together, stop them from actually being able to protest in the way that they feel they have a right to.
Well, let's see how those protests unfold tomorrow. Christopher Wilson, royal commentator, many thanks for joining us. Well, if you thought the King was having a quiet evening in with a cup of tea, possibly a movie, think again, because he's hosting a reception of foreign guests, including foreign royals, the likes of the Crown Prince and Princess of Japan, the King and Queen of Spain. The list continues. Jill Biden, of course, the US President, is not attending. It turns out that being a king is a pretty busy job, especially when you're getting a crown on your head in the morning.
Yeah, leave